The Australian newspaper today reported that the Prime Minister hasn't been able to use his electorate office in inner city Sydney Marrickville since January because of a permanent protest from pro-Palestinian activists. It's not the only office targeted by pro-Palestinian activists. There's been disgusting vandalism and intimidation against MPs in Melbourne and Sydney. The protesters, if not these attacks, of course, are supported by the Greens political party. And in fact, Greens politicians often echo some of the worst slogans of the anti-Israel protesters. So this all led to some pretty rare scenes in Parliament today, because we saw the Prime Minister and the opposition leader actually united, and they were united in their condemnation of the Greens.
It is unacceptable that misinformation is being consciously and deliberately spread by some Green senators and MPs who have engaged in this in demonstrations outside offices and online. That includes knowingly misrepresenting motions that are moved in this parliament.
We stand as one in this chamber, or we should stand as one to make sure that we condemn the unacceptable levels of anti-Semitism that we see playing out on our streets. It has no place, and we will take every action we need as a chamber to make sure that we condemn those acts of anti-Semitism in our country, and the Greens political party today is properly and rightly condemned.
Yeah, and then we saw the Greens leader trying to overturn parliamentary rules so that he could have another crack himself.
I will not be lectured to about peace and non-violence by people who back the invasion of Gaza. Children are dying. Children are dying because the Israeli army has engineered a famine. And instead of talking about the victims, the Prime Minister wants to make it about himself.
What a disgrace the Greens are. And just remember, they've got enormous power over the Labor Party. They act in virtual coalition in the Senate. Labor relies on their preferences across the country. And after the next election, the Greens could end up sharing power with Labor in government.